Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. Sorry it's been so long since I made a video. It's been a crazy month and a crazy year, and so you know it is. I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way. I spent a lot of time planning some new games. I'm actually planning a Dragonlance campaign that I've been starting to work on. I've also got 2 other homebrew campaigns I'm planning, and I just finished Palace of the Silver Princess. I just finished my first module as a professional dungeon master that I started in late summer. We just finished it, and the party just moved on to the next module we had planned, which was The Secret of Bone Hill. So we're doing a sort of procedurally generated campaign world. We're just sticking the maps together, plugging in each person's backstories, whatever else they come up with it, and creating a world map based on that. So it's pretty fun. I'm pretty excited about that. So, also, I got a light board for tracing drawings. It'll help me trace some of my maps using my new nifty drawing pin. And also a Wacom tablet for sketching and drawing. I found out that I can use it as a mouse, and I can use it with, what's the program called? Incarnate. Yeah, I got a year's subscription to Incarnate. So I've been making a lot of maps. That plus I got a bunch of packets on Roll20, and of course I've got Paint, so I can kind of do some simple background stuff and whatever. And so that combination, I'm really enjoying the maps that I'm making, and I'm pretty excited about it. I'd show you some, but it'll be spoilerific for my players, so I'm not gonna do that. But maybe I will do a video just sort of showing you my map making process, showing some old maps that I've made that my players have already gone through, something like that. That could be pretty fun. Yeah, I also haven't done a video in a while because I've been just really focused on my games and on my real life relationships, and there's been stuff going on. My mom had a surgery, so I've been taking care of her a pretty good amount, and a bunch of my friends have come in and out of town, so I've been driving people to the airport and at all hours of the night. So it's been crazy. So that's more reasons why I haven't done a video, and I just haven't had time to really sit and dedicate to setting up all my lights and my cameras and writing out my ideas and everything. So, and I also started to feel sort of stuck, like, okay, if every video I have to make a script, I have to do all these things, when really I just want to be fresh. I just want to sit down, I want to record myself talking about some of my ideas, talk to my players, my friends, and just put a video out every week. So I'm going to endeavor to do that again. Oh, also, my birthday's coming up. It'll be Tuesday, March 29th. I will be years old, and I'm really excited. I'm not sure what I'm going to do at that time. I might go camping by myself. I might go down to out of town to visit some other friends. I'm not really sure. But anyway, so that's exciting stuff that's going on for me, and just my updates. So yeah, I'm curious how you all are doing and what's been going on with y'all. So please message in the comments, and I will reply. I'll respond to you as soon as I can. I hope everybody's been well. I have, so today I think I want to talk about hardcore combat, hardcore games, and sort of how I think about them, how I run them, and ultimately how I would suggest, or just different tools and tips and mechanics and stuff that I use, and some that I'm thinking about using. And I'm, of course, I'm curious what you all think of these mechanics if you've used them yourself. I'm gonna check something. Okay, very good. Making sure my camera and everything is all working, and it is indeed. I am thrilled. So, hardcore games, hardcore combat. There's a bunch of different ways to accomplish this. There's some ways to do it poorly. There's some ways to do it really well, and I'm sort of trying to figure all that out. I've never really been the kind of DM who ran hardcore games. I've always been a lot more forgiving and relaxed, but I found that they're really fun and really interesting, and I like the mechanics and the combat and the challenge and the narrative and potential lasting consequences and de-emphasization of combat, where you've got other ways, you have to solve things other ways because combat's really daunting, depending on the game. So I have a few different ways I sort of run intense scenarios or hardcore scenarios. One is simply that I will start all of the players at level 0. I'll ask them to make 3 0-level characters, I'll put them in a situation for first or second level characters. They'll have to problem solve, scramble, avoid, learn, approach things differently. It shakes players out of their normal sort of routine when it comes to playing a character and playing D&D. And I find that really useful. That character funnel, you lose a character or two, or even if you don't, it kind of creates an origin story. So your character survived some things to gain that first level. And I find that can be really fun and really, it can create good stories and lasting. It can create bonding at the table and stuff too. So I think that's really fun. And I do that with a few different games. And then I don't like keep the thumb screws on the players really after that. You know, I don't add other hardcore combat rules. I just use the mechanics of the game, rules as written. And then I start to add some of the variant rules as they get more comfortable with each other, or you know, as they accomplish certain things, as little like sort of soft level ups, like, oh, now you can flank. Oh, now you can move through each other's space without using extra movement and things like that, you know. So the other way I'm running a hardcore game, I'm running one hardcore game with really intense combat. They're out leveled by a lot of stuff. I gave them some magical equipment starting out because of that. And the party opted to use a few different mechanics that we're really enjoying. And one of is Exhaustion. We're using Exhaustion, just rules as written. And one of the rules that we're using is when you hit 0 hit points and come back up, you have a level of exhaustion. That's just it, no matter what. And you need a full night's rest, a long rest, to recover from a level of exhaustion. So for each time you go down, you get a level of exhaustion. Something else, let me see, I got a little list here. Let's see what I can, see what we have on there. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. I've got covered that. Covered exhaustion. Lingering wounds. So we're playing with different sort of mechanics, but we started out with a rule where, okay, if you take half your hit points in one go, if you take maximum damage from a crit, then it'll initiate a Constitution saving throw. If you go to 0, if you take max damage on a crit, if you lose half your hit points in one attack, and you get a Constitution saving throw. That's 12 plus 1 for each compounded factor. So if you get knocked to 0 with a maximum damage crit that takes half your hit points, and that'll be a +2 onto the DC. We started with a 15 DC, and so for each compounded, that's +1. I had a character lose 2 fingers, get an 18 DC because there were 3 factors in that wound to save, right? So he failed his saving throw, lost 2 fingers. And so we've got a list of different damage types, and the different types of wounds they can do, how they're healed, how long they'll last, and things like that. And so we had the cleric lost an eye. He's got disadvantage to ranged attacks and perception for sight. And I think the rogue got heat exhaustion due to being electrocuted. Just sort of messed with his thermostat, as it were. And that was gone after a long rest. The exhaustion from hitting 0 hit points was all gone after a long rest. But it's been fun. It's adding challenge, but also story, narrative, lasting consequences, things they have to work around, solutions they have to find. Now the wizard's got to get more fingers, or find someone who can cast a regeneration spell, or make a prosthetic. So yeah, it adds dynamic, it adds story. It further makes the character that you're playing something that can only exist at the table you're playing at. And I think that's really fun and special. Using disease, using exhaustion, using rules as written, simply as they're written, it can be hardcore, especially if you're not, just not pulling punches with it, not hand waving, or using rule of cool to reduce the difficulty and challenge of the game. So just keeping the challenge up will create a hardcore game. If these monsters fight intelligently, if you use their abilities well as they're sort of written, then the challenge will be there for the players. I think the real difficulty just comes in the yo-yo effect of hitting level 0, hitting 0 hit points, coming back up, hitting 0, coming back up. That's why I use Exhaustion for that. And I also like the lingering wound. So if you go to 0, you get Exhaustion, there's a chance of a wound. Something else we're playing with, or I'm playing with in my mind, I haven't initiated or talked to them about, but I'm curious how this would work. I think it'll be really fun in terms of that challenge and that danger, that mounting danger that ideally should happen for adventurers that are out questing, delving deep into a dungeon, surviving wounds, resting in the dark, going back at it. There is this mounting. It sort of adds that clock from other games to it, and that is to your death saves. They remain after you get back up. Obviously, they last through a short rest, and a long rest will only remove one failed death save. So those failed death saves are cumulative. Nothing else can remove them except for just resting. So that added with Exhaustion can be pretty intense. So I'm curious if anyone else has played with death save mechanics to make the game more hardcore. If you have, let me know in the comments and let me know what you did and how it worked. I'm really curious what your story is. So please, thank you. Let's see here. Oh yeah, rest rules for a long and short rest. If you use them, they're pretty exact and demanding. Basically, a long rest suggests that you have to be not only safe, but feel safe and be able to relax enough to rest and focus on your spells. If there's monsters beating at the door all night, you can't. If there's whispers of evil things in the dark coming through the walls all night, you can't really rest. If there's hungry rats moving in, climbing over you, trying to get to your rations every time you sleep, you can't rest. So if you're wearing heavy armor, you have to take it off to get out the benefits of a rest. So just using the rules, the basic rules as written for combat, for rest, for exploration, can make the game a lot more hardcore. And that could be really, really fun. I think one of the downsides, or one of the challenges, potential pitfalls of playing a game that's hardcore is it can seem really punishing. And those mounting difficulties can be really challenging. So if you're going to run a hardcore game, I recommend that you make sure that the players are going to have space to take those long rests. You don't always fight them on it. You give them chances to build up their resources, to sort of sandbox and give them the tools to develop the tools to meet the challenges you've set for them in your own way. Because if you just, with a hardcore game, if you just keep pressing and pressing and pressing, it's going to grind those players down and the characters. I think that's what I find. And so you kind of want to navigate away from that. You want to keep that challenge, that intensity, that grittiness up, but you definitely want to give players a rest and a break from that. You want levity, you want role-playing scenarios, you want relaxation. Once they're out of that dungeon, you want like a week or 2 or 3 days for the characters to just relax and do whatever, meet other people, get married, have children, whatever they want to do, so that they're fighting for something with that hardcore rules. I don't think you want to put hardcore rules in just any old dungeon crawl game or any sort of courtly D&D game. I think you definitely want that in the kind of game where the characters have something to fight for. So there's a quest or something like that where these wounds kind of become battle scars, trophies, and sacrifices on this path that they're on. And I think that if you want to run hardcore rules for your players, or you want to build a game around that stuff, it's easy for some players to feel daunted and feel put off because they don't want the killer DM, they don't want the old grognard, they want to smash them and their characters into paste. So there's a trust and I think a nervousness for especially a lot of new players about coming into a hardcore game. So I think you definitely want to build trust there. You want to talk to your players. You want to give them your vision for how it could work. You want to talk it through with them and see what they think. See what kind of what they would need to make that acceptable or interesting or fun. The upper limits of how it would work, how they could recover, make sure they have a good understanding of it. So if we surprise our players for it and we keep hitting them with these things and we don't give them a chance to rest or breathe or think or plan, it's not very fun for most players. Again, once you talk to your players, they might decide something else. They might let you know, hey, yeah, let us have it. Kill our players. We love it. Let's kill our characters. Let's do it. Most players aren't really like that, though. Most players want to see it through. They want to see the story. They don't really want their characters to die. Nobody really does, So how you approach it, how you build the game around it, why you're putting the hardcore rules in that, and which rules you want to use out of the mechanics, how you want to interpret them, all that stuff are questions and things to be talked about at the table with your players, or to at least set out. If you're writing a game to put online for people, you want to have all these like, okay, yeah, I want hardcore rules, but there's going to be this and that, and here's why. And I'm definitely open to be flexible and let the other players sort of like help me figure out how we want the rules to work for this table and stuff like that, because every table's different. So well, that's what I have for this week. Thanks for joining me. I apologize again for it being so long since I have put out a video. I will put out more. I will try to do this every week. I've got a bunch of different notes on different concepts for to share with you all for dungeon mastering, for playing, for thinking about stuff. Some of it can even be applied to writing and different things like that. So yeah, I'm excited to share some more projects with you. I'm excited to get some of these other games going, and I want to run a streaming game. So I'm looking at Mondays, alternate Sunday nights, and Tuesday evenings after 8:30 Central as the times that I'm looking. So if you're interested in that, you're available, hit me up, message me on any of the platforms that I have. You can of course find me on Start Playing Games under DM Feanor. You can find me on Roll20. You can find me on Discord. You can find me on Facebook. And of course you can find me here on YouTube, all under DM Feanor. So hit me up, find me, message me, let me know what you think. If you want to play in the streaming game, if you want to help me run the streaming game, if you want to help put it together, if you have advice or feedback from streams that you've run and things like that, please hit me up and help me figure out what I'm doing, because I really want to share my styles and my stories with people. I want to share the type of tables that my players and I build together, and yeah, I think it'll just be really fun, and I really want to do it. So if you want to be involved and you want to help, please message me. If you yeah, as always, message me if you need anything, if you want to talk, if you want to chat about different games, different stuff, life, whatever else, please message me. Have a good night, have a good day, have a good week until I talk to you again. Enjoy your game, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.